Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith in the Black Quantity VTF here at T3 Live with the Wheels in Motion show. Because if it's Tuesday, it's the Wheels in Motion show. So this is going on my own YouTube. We had some technical problems over at the other one, so I want to make sure everybody gets a little bit taste of what's going on. Also, like to be announced that I'm speaking at the Traders Expo in Chicago, July 21st. Be there or be square. We're going to lay the strat down on the world, and so I'm looking forward to that. So if you're in Chicago or plan to be so, July 21st, that's the day. Anywho, we got the SPY as an inside day, so we got a short week, a short day, and all that kind of stuff. So you got QQQ and diamonds and SPY all going inside day. Now you do have the weekly breaks to the upside here, inside week to the upside, SPY. Right, but tomorrow we want to find out if we reconfirm that move by going inside days and up, or negate it by coming back down. Shortened session. We just started the new month, all that kind of stuff. So not too much to go on outside of this early stuff. What we do have is Tesla. And Tesla came out with news after the close, was running here. Let me see. So trying to re-break the inside week. It looks like as of right now, it's going to gap up. You had your two up, two down, and then boom, coming back through there. So the reason that's important is we want to look on this monthly. And we know that when bars run out of time, outside bars still exist on different time frames. So we want to see if we're going to strong enough to take this and have a 2-bar outside pattern of that. Now you got some acreage on that to do so, but we'll see how that goes. Gold does this. Now gold here had a nice month last month, and then weekly tried to take the shooter down yesterday, and here then the 2-2 reversal right back up on it. So one of the things we like to stay on is the decaying asset JDST. And you can see how nice that was. Boom, 2-2 reversal back down. And if you're on it fast enough, you get the inside 30 right here, and that's nice below 27.92, goes out of 25.63 on a percentage basis. We will take that every time. You've got AMRN coming up here, and that's a nice move. And you can look at the monthly, you got a little bit more room for all-time highs to try and take this out. 23.25, 23.33. So trying to bear up on that. So far so good, especially after a day like today. So we can watch for continuation patterns on that. RH, interesting here. It's disseminating this gap, and it's trying to take this rev strat weaker here and get back all into this stuff here. So the reason that's important is because of the concentration of things going down in retail, which I'm going to get to in a second. So we can keep an eye on that. Other than that, there's a lot of things obviously taking out last week's highs and last month's highs. But the thing about that is you go into exhaustion risk anytime you're going into new all-time highs, right? Because people who are short have nothing to be short against. So it's not the end of the world, but we're going to have to keep monitoring all the signals that we have once we get there. It's much easier to do this and come ripping back through the previous range, which we're not doing right now. So we'll see how that goes. So another common fallacy that people talk about is the VIX hating up markets. It doesn't hate up markets, it hates boring markets where people aren't hedging or doing anything, which was today, and that's why you get VXX to do this and bleed out hard, right? So you'd want to know that. You want to know how to enter on corrective activity. Here, triangle layout, shooter, boom, back to the range, and that was perfect right there, and not too hard. So, like I said, there's a lot of things that are breaking towards the downside, which would be the concern, albeit the futures aren't exhibiting that, but we want to be aware of certain things. So in the Dow Jones, you've got Boeing taking out last week's lows, inside week to the downside in Boeing. And then you have a concentration of the energies where XLE here, potential outside week, XOP, potential outside week, OIH, potential outside week if you go to crude itself. Here, already taking out last week's lows, and that's giving you a bunch of these things like PXD, already taking out last week's lows, and so this oil patch still having some issues. APA, Concho, FANG, EOG, MRO, Axon, Oxy, SM Energy. So you can see some tight ranges, but it's just sounded a bit of the alarm. Also in retail, if you get XRT here, that's potential 3 back down, and you've got a bunch of these guys who've been struggling, still struggling. Nordstrom's, Macy's, RL, Ross Stores, Urban Outfitters, all taking out last week's lows. Captain Sig, SIG. Oof, well, that's been tough. CC is another thing here that's having some problems there. You can see that inside weakened down and taking out those lows. A little of exhaustion risk as you take this stuff out. WMGI. And you can see that having all sorts of problems and taking out last month's lows, like so. Eaton Corp, ETN. Still potential 3 1-bar rev strat month if they really want to clock this thing. And right now, an outside weak 1-bar rev strat. AERI in the bio, which we've known about for a while, because this monthly weakness just continues. So going into the recent lows. And there you go, 3-2 day down, outside to the downside. AGIO, more bio, having some issues. There's another 3-2 day down today to take out last week's lows. Hertz in taking out last week's lows, and the tranny's doing this. Transport's coming back in here as well and looking like this on your daily. Here, you got your broadening formation now trying to come back through, which could be a real problem for them. You saw some of the FedEx weakening up here, UPS. Here, how about some trucker, ODFL. Here, not to a lesser extent, but those guys having some problems. If we do go up, you might want to watch Union Pac tomorrow. Shooter, hammer counter shooter, trying to come back up through this, so you can keep an eye on that. You've got Lyft doing this, coming out and taking last week's lows out. That's a problem. You've got Parker Hannifin and the Industrials doing the same. 1-bar outside weaker already. iRobot to a lesser extent, but it is outside weak. Hasbro, LEA here, and then when you look at SMH. Technically, we took out last week's highs, but we've been coming in, and so the SMH had this, the 2-2 daily reversal, and that's where we're hitting the NVIDIAs and the AMATs of the world. So that's a potential problem, too, to see how we're going to solve that with SMH. How are you going to take out, it's not a big range, but you need to take out at least today's highs tomorrow to look any good at all. If you go to the monthlies, more retail ollies, and we've known about this, talked about it last month when I was taking out last month's lows. And for newer folks, the reason you want to do that, first of all, here's your exhaustion risk. You're going into new highs, right? So if the buyers don't step up, you come back through a previous range, which we did last month, and that was real obvious last month because the SPY was doing this. It's going outside to the upside. Meanwhile, this thing's doing this. So that's what you look for because it's obvious that you have natural sellers in there. So Ollie's still taking out last month's lows. AAXN trying to take out last month's shooter, 6408. You're there, so anytime staying below that. Had a nice broadening formation on this thing here. You can see that higher highs, lower lows, and now trying to complete that. So if it's going to look any good, you got to take out some highs coming back through there. Not doing it as yet. So I think I'll leave it at there. It's a shortened day tomorrow. We got jobless claims on Friday. Closed for the 4th of July holiday on Thursday. I'm also going out of town for the next 2 Tuesdays. I will be out, so no Wheels in Motion show, but I will definitely bring it back, and then I will be back for the Traders Expo. So we're going to lay down the strat and going to tell everybody what we know, and hopefully you can make it there. All right, that's going to do it for today, and that's going to do it for the Wheels in Motion for a while. Hope everybody has a wonderful and safe 4th of July day and weekend, and that's it. That's Wheels in Motion show for another Tuesday. I'm Rob Smith in the Black Quantas VTF here at T3 Live.